So, will Alexander Usyk be the most difficult guy Tyson Fury has ever faced? I'm asking this because I heard Tony Bellew, former Cruiserweight World Champion, say that Alexander Usyk, when he was down at Cruiserweight, was by far the most difficult fight Bellew had ever had. Mentally, he just exhausts you, he was trying to work out what he's doing, and that was what Bellew said got him in the end, that's why he's knocked out. It wasn't necessarily like the strength of the punch, but he was just so exhausted from trying to figure out Usyk, trying to match his speed, trying to be with him, that, he just couldn't take it anymore. I mean, it's worth noting that Bellew had come down from heavyweight, so his punch resistance might have been gone a little bit. That might have played a part in it. Because obviously when you lose weight, your body doesn't quite know what's going on, so you take punches easier. So back on to Tyson Fury. Will Alexander Usyk be the toughest fighter Fury has ever had? I don't know, because just because he's probably the best fighter he's ever fought, you could argue Klitschko is better. But in terms of the toughest fight Fury's ever had, I mean, for me, what are the ones that come to mind? Well, obviously Otto Wallin. Obviously Wallin, fighter-wise, obviously isn't on a level as, a Klitschko, a Usyk, a Wilder. But I don't know if you've seen that fight, but that was the closest Fury ever came to losing. I think it was around 4 or 5. A massive cut opened up on Fury's eye, and the fight was then stopped by the doctor. That was probably the closest he got to losing, because I think if the fight had been stopped due to a cut, you couldn't have made any complaints. Like, his eye looked terrible, and I think it was like the first 6 rounds, Wallin was doing really well. I think his dad had died the night before or something, so, he had a lot of anger to get out. He had so much self-belief, just hitting Fury. And you can see Fury was kind of taken aback, like, oh, this guy thinks he can win. I've not had this in a while. And credit to you, Fury. In the end, he did come back. He stayed in the fights. He was just too big, too resilient for Wallin, who wore out, as the fight went on, and he did win the later rounds. But that was a very tough fight for Fury, because Wallin was targeting that eye. So there's a big shout that Wallin was the toughest fight he'd ever had, not because he's the best fighter he's ever had, but just because of the circumstances of the fight, the eye, the cut. It's difficult to know whether it would be painful, like if you just got so much adrenaline going around your body that you can't feel it. But he had to have 47 stitches after the fight, like, that must have been painful. And I know it's one of those things where it's like, credit to Fury for going, because, there must be that voice in your back of there going, oh, you should quit. You could go blind from this cut, lots of fighters have nearly lost their eyesight due to cuts. Look at Kell Brook versus Golovkin. I think Kell Brook nearly lost it twice against Spence as well. But, Fury fought off the demons and he came through the fight. Is that his toughest win? Is that his toughest fight? The second option is probably Wilder 3. You can see from his body shape, Fury is out of shape. I remember hearing that his camp didn't go very well at all. I think he was having a kid, so he was in the hospital. He was running up and down the stairs to get his cardio in. I think he had a very bad camp, and you can tell because his body, he wasn't in the good shape as he was for 1 and 2. In 1 and 2, he looks slim, he looks in shape. Whereas 3, he's got a little bit more of a belly, and obviously he did get knocked down twice. He got knocked down in the first one as well, but he looked so unaffected in the first one. Can you even call it a difficult fight? It's honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen. He got knocked down in round 9, then he got up alright, and then he had that huge knockdown in the 12th. Just got back up and nothing has happened. It wasn't even like he got back up and he was clinching Wilder. He just got back up and outboxed him. The guy's insane. So can you even call it a difficult fight? Because he looked absolutely fine after he got up. You could say Ngannou was a bad night for Fury. And if it was a difficult fight, because obviously he got dropped, but he got dropped fairly heavy. He got back up. He looked alright. Kind of just did enough to win the rounds. And, escape with a, fairly close win. So probably not his toughest fight, but probably the most embarrassing fight, Coming that close to losing to an MMA star. Fury probably didn't take the fight seriously. He looked quite big. Even if you are training hard, I think mentally you're not just going to be in that same headspace where it's like, oh, I'm going in there with a killer. You're going in there with someone who's having their first professional boxing match. Especially for Fury, he really needs to get up for fights. He often has a bad performance just before he has a good one, He struggled against Wallin. His next fight was Wilder 2. He was locked in. He was like, I could lose here. Let me lock in. It's why everyone always gets up for a Canelo fight, right? It's why I give Canelo so much credit. Everyone's in this, everyone's always up to fight Canelo, and he still deals with them. Everyone's up for hard fights. So what would make Usyk the most difficult fight Fury has ever had? Well, Usyk is really fast, right? His feet are so fast. I think Cunningham is the closest, as to good footwork Fury will have experienced. Cunningham's feet were good, probably not quite as quick as Usyk's. Let's not forget that Cunningham dropped Fury. I think Cunningham was just too small for Fury in the end. He dropped him pretty heavy, and Fury looked pretty humbled after that, after Cunningham floored him, because he was you know, trash talking the guy just before he got dropped. So that's probably another contender. I mean, because he won by KO in the end, you probably wouldn't say it was his toughest fight, but that's definitely another contender. Anyways, back to Usyk. So as I'm saying, very fast feet, right? He's in and out. I don't think Fury will be able to lean all his weight on him, which was a big tactic he used against Wilder. And his engine is crazy, right? Like, he can just keep going. Do you remember the 12th round of AJ1? That's the 12th round, and Usyk was close to knocking AJ out. And his punch output is insane. He was just, you know, punching AJ loads in the 12th round of a fight. I think as well for Usyk, because he's never really taken, you know, a day off in his life. Like, he's been consistently winning, you know. He's not been fighting MMA stars. He's not been fighting, you know, Dillian White and Chisora, who are past their prime. He's been constantly in difficult fights. He's been consistent. He hasn't had any time off where he's gained a lot of weight, you know, abused drugs or alcohol. You know, Usyk is an incredible athlete. Hard to phase as well. It appears like he hasn't been phased by Fury's trash talk, but I think what could affect Usyk is he might be a little bit rattled by the cancellations, you know, missing the birth of his daughter. It could go two ways, right? It could be like, oh, I'm going to make Fury pay for this. Or his head just might not be in it. You know, he might start to fight and not box Fury. Look, I think it's very unlikely because Usyk is a superstar, but got to put it out there, right? For me, I don't think Usyk will be his hardest fight. I think it might be his most frustrating fight. You know, not being able to lean on Usyk, his feet being so fast. You know, it's very possible that Usyk might just win the first 6 rounds, and then, you know, Fury will be boxing the ghost for the late parts of the fight. I think Bellew said it right. It could be a boring fight, but Usyk might win. So I can't see it being his toughest fight. I don't know. Could Fury get dropped? Obviously, he got dropped against Ngannou. He's got a lot of mileage now, which has always got to come into play. You know, think about the amount of times he's been dropped. He's got a lot of miles on the record. His body's been through a lot of abuse. Will this be a step too far for Fury? Or will he be too big for Usyk? It's a really interesting conversation to have, and I definitely there's any easy answer. Like, I'm finding it very hard, you know, to make a prediction, because as I've said, Fury's been knocked down a few times, and if you get knocked down by Usyk, I think he just puts it on you. Like, I think if he knocks you down once and you get back up, like, I think he'll just put it on you again. So it's like, I can see Usyk finishing Fury, but I can see Usyk winning on points. Fury, I think, could hit Usyk with something big in the 30 rounds and possibly win that way, disrupt Usyk's rhythm. So look, I think it's going to be a very exciting fight, and there's a lot of unknowns which make it very exciting. And there's a huge undercard as well, arguably the two best cruiserweights in the world. Bradis and Opetaya are fighting again. Bradis hasn't fought since his last fight with Opetaya, where Opetaya broke both sides of his jaw, which is crazy. And, you know, there was a few more world title fights on the undercard. So it should be a very exciting night of boxing. Thank you for watching. Comment your thoughts down below. Like and subscribe if you like the video. It would mean a lot. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.